will benefit us, so that we can have more insightful and wonderful teaching in our future. And without any further ado, uh, Mrs. Sandy, the time is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibu Yayet. And thank you everyone for attending this room. So I'm very happy and nervous as well because I'm here with you all great teachers, and I'm sure that this session, my presentation, have benefits to us all. And I'm just sharing a little bit that I know from the practices that I have used during my classes. All right, so let me begin by sharing the slides. Okay. Wait a minute. All right, is it showing? Can you all see the screen?
Yes, it's
Yes,
clear.
All right, very well. So, okay, for today's presentation, the sharing session, it's about stimulating students' thinking and speaking skills through elicitation technique. Perhaps some of you have heard the word elicitation. Well, I guess I'm pretty sure that all of you teachers have used this technique before. Okay, so let me share a little bit about the topic for today. Okay, and hope for the aim of the session for this session for the presentation today is I would like to share the definition, the purposes, the techniques, and kinds of questions and questioning strategy regarding to elicitation. So first of all, okay, this is the general description or definition about elicitation or eliciting. Well, eliciting is a technique which enables the teacher to get information from the students, which means when the teacher asks questions, it's the students try to give information. It's not just like one way communication. It's rather to stimulate the students and how the class to be more lively, and then not dominated by the teacher who does the TTT, teacher's talking time. In fact, we minimize the TTT, and also on the other hand, we try to maximize the STT, students talking time. Well, in this technique, in elicitation technique, we try to make the students speak. We try to create a lively situation, lively communication between the teachers and the students, not only by doing one-way communication, just I have just mentioned earlier, and also to assess the student's ability and knowledge. Okay. Now, how does elicitation stimulate the student's thinking and speaking skill? We'll find out from by the next slide, and we'll see one by one, and we'll do like a little bit of simulation later on. Okay. First of all, let's see the purpose or the aims of elicitation. Okay, so the first one is to lead into the presentation. So before we introduce the students to our target language, we give them some lead-in questions. We try to make, like, we can also say like bridging or something. Yeah, the lead-in question before we move on to the presentation to introduce the students to the target language that we are going to teach. And then the second one is to get the students involved in the lesson. So we expect that the students are able to use or to maximize their skills in thinking, in speaking, and also we try to trigger their confidence in speaking activity and to be more active in the classrooms. And then the third one, to increase the amount of students talking time. Okay, not unlike the traditional classroom situation in which the teacher speaks all the time. Here we try to reduce that teacher's talking time, and then also to motivate, yeah, the students. Well, when we ask questions, and then there are some students who already know the answer, it can also motivate them. And if the students doesn't know the answer, we try not to make them down, or we just try to encourage them to find the answer. Okay. And then also to get yourself some ideas, yeah, how much various students in the classroom. By doing this, we can decide the pace of the lesson, and then the length of time that we need in the classroom. Okay, this is part of the assessment. We are able to identify the level of the students' strength in learning, or especially in English. And then moving on to the techniques. Well, in elicitation, there are some things that we can try to apply in the classroom to get the students to be triggered, and by showing a picture, yeah, or we draw something on the board, and then using realia, we bring real object into the classroom. Or maybe the students can also bring a real object to the classroom, like when we are, for example, talking about pets, for example. The teacher may ask the students to bring the picture of the pets, or even maybe, if possible, to bring the real. All right. So let us continue. Yeah. Well, the technique in elicitation, just as you all can see here, we can bring a realia, and then a short piece of recorded materials, audio or video maybe, and then we can try to create anything that we think it can trigger the students' ideas and critical thinking maybe, and then try to make them speak. Yeah. And then for the second one is the pausing. After we ask questions, so it's best to pause for a while to give them time to think. Normally, we can give them like 10 to 15 seconds, not 15 minutes, I'm sorry, 10 to 15 seconds to think, because there are different types of students. Some students are called like external thinkers. Some students are called internal thinkers. External thinkers mean that the students are, you know, when the teacher asks questions and the students respond quickly to the questions, and then he or she doesn't need more or spend too much time in thinking. That's the external thinker students. Meanwhile, the internal thinkers, they need time to process. Maybe because of their characters, they are shy to speak. It can happen sometimes for the internal thinkers. They keep processing in their heads, but they are too shy to produce the answers. So we give the students time. Okay, and then pay attention to pacing. Yeah, we try to make the class run smoothly with the perfect pace, not too fast, not too slow. Just let it flow. And then elicitations are best kept simple. We try not to explain things or ask questions that are too complicated. We need to see the students. We need to know our students. Yeah, some students are weak, some students are strong. We need to be able to assess that. We need to be able to see the students. Okay. Now, it's related with number 4, the difficulties of the questions. Try not to make things too difficult. Yeah. Because there are various types of students in the classroom. So we try to get to know to each students in the classroom, because we teachers are obliged to do that. Okay. And then there are kinds of questions that we can ask for elicitation. The kinds of questions of number 1 is questions which answers are quite clear from the picture. And then the second one is questions that need the students to interpret. Yeah. And what are the purpose of those kinds of questions? For the first one, the question which answers are quite clear from picture, we use this. The purpose is to elicit key vocabulary. When we try to introduce them to new vocabularies, when we try to introduce them to simple target language that we are going to explain to them. Yeah, the pictures can be like about some situation, or the topic that we are going to explain in the classroom. And then the question that really needs the students to interpret, it needs classroom discussion, and also this might work on a higher level students to stimulate their thinking and also their communication, peer communication. So we can stimulate them by doing this. Now, those two kinds of questions. And then, for example, we try to make some elicitations here. Okay. For example, we want to introduce the students to some vocabularies. We ask questions to the students and let the students dig their answer. Let the students find the answer. For example, like we show them the picture of this, and we can also want the students to answer these words: rise, to plant, by hand, bend down, rose, terrace. The new vocabularies. Some of the students may have already familiar with the word, some are not familiar. Okay, but we try to ask them students, like for example, Okay. All right, students, what can you see from the picture? Yeah, sawah, paddy field, or a rice field, anything. Yeah, and then look at the farmers. What are they doing? So we try to dig them uh, about their knowledge and what plants here. Okay, for example, like that. These are this is one of the examples of the first kinds of question, showing the picture, and then the answers is clear. You can get from the picture. And then for the second one here, okay, and we can use this in the higher or a medium or higher level uh, English classroom for the students, and we try to make them think or discuss so we can try to interpret this picture. For example, okay, what can you see from the picture? What does this picture represent? Students may think hard and try to produce what they have in mind. Yeah, they try to speak up, and with we as teachers, we have to motivate. We have to trigger them to speak up. So by doing so, their confidence will improve, will arise. So we keep them uh, motivated. They can discuss from this picture with their peers, and then they also can communicate with their peers. So, and then after that, they can report to the classroom about their findings in interpreting this picture. What can you see in this picture? What's the importance of the social media? What would happen if there is no social media, if there was no social media nowadays, like that? You can try to create questions that requires them to think and to share what they have in mind. Okay, in this kind of elicitation, there is no right or wrong. Just we try to make them speak. We try to stimulate them to think and to speak. And then when we come to another lesson, like for example, we have a target language, we have a topic to discuss. Yeah, this is an example of the dialogue to make it simpler. For example, I show the students the picture of the girls here. You will be rich one day. And then the teacher, example questions of elicitation is like this. Is she talking about the future, past, or present? And then the expected answer from the students, yeah, future. And then we try to elicit by asking another question. Does she know about the future? Okay. And then the expected answer is no. Yeah. And then so it's called another elicitation question. So it's called when you don't know something about the future, but you try to guess, it's called the expected answer is prediction. Yeah. What verb does she use? We ask them to pay attention to the structure of the sentence. Here we use will. Okay, and then move on to practice. The students give examples of another sentence using this structure. So again, we ask question by not giving the students what is it like, we feed them. Yeah, in bahasa disuapi, yeah, you try to make them like think, try to teach them to analyze the structure. What is the structure? What words, what verb, what tense maybe. Okay, another example of the lesson. For example, the target language that we want to teach for today is about, for example, past simple tense. For example, past simple tense. Before we explain to the students about what we are going to learn, we try to elicit some questions. In here, I give an example of the PPP method, presentation, practice, production method, one of the method in teaching English, the PPP method. We give the situation to the students. So that there are two friends, Teddy Bear and John Thor. Teddy Bear and John Thor. They are best friends. John Thor is a traveler. Okay, how do you know he's a traveler? Ask the student. He's carrying heavy bags, backpacks. Yeah, and then we give the scene setting. We explain the situation. They are friends, and John Thor is a traveler. He travels everywhere. One day he meets. So Teddy asks questions about where he went last month. Okay, and then I ask the students, okay, students, Teddy Bear wants to know where John Thor went last month. How does Teddy Bear ask? We give them prompts. Okay, and then the expected answers, of course, where did you go last month? And then, how does John Thor answers? Okay, we elicit the question. So we expect the students to guess or try to remember the verb about the past, maybe. The expected answer, yeah, he went around Europe. And then we elicit another question. How does Teddy ask John about the things that he brought? Then we elicit another sentence. How does John answer? Okay. And then Teddy another ask question. He wants to know the person he went with on traveling. And then how does John answer? We try to elicit the question and let the students try to dig the answers, try to answer as best as he can. I like that. Okay, okay. Thank you, Ibu, for reminding me. Okay. Now, the questioning strategy. So there are 4 pictures, and maybe I would like one person to describe the picture A, B, C, and D. What are the differences in these 4 pictures? Maybe one person could share. Yes.
Please, the Bible, you may raise your hands first and unmute. Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah. What I'm doing is just, yeah, one of the eliciting question.
Eliciting, yes.
Okay, could anybody see the differences? See the difference between these 4 squares? Anyone?
Oh, they need time, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Can I try to answer the question, sir?
Sure, Ibu Ayu, please.
So the first picture is A. The teacher asked the questions to all of the students. B, she asked to the specific student by mentioning the name. And C, also the same as B, but the thing is, she mentioned the name at the beginning, before the questions. And D, almost the same as B. The questions, oh, sorry, it's not the same as B, but in fact, it's almost the same as A, but at the end, she mentioned the student's name. But before the name mentions, most of the students have raised their hand, but the teacher only point out to one student.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Ibu Ayu. Okay.
Pleasure,
So,
sir.
all right. So there are differences, even though maybe it looks kind of similar, but there are differences. All right. Very good, Ibu Ayu. Thank you for the answers. Now let's try to see the strategy in A. So in picture A, as you can see that the teacher asked the students one question, and most students answers at the same time. Most students answer at the same time. Yeah. Okay. This can happen in large class. Yeah. However, if we do this situation, there is a possibility that the class will be like uncontrolled. So loud noises will come up, and if the teacher cannot control the classroom, it will be like, students try to, even though it's fun, maybe it looks lively, it's okay. Yeah. So, and then how about in the, oh, sorry. Yeah. In B, yeah, in B, okay. As you can see here, keeps the class involved but still under control. So in this picture, the students choose the teacher chooses the students to answer the question. What is this? What's this made of? Fatma, and then yeah, the teacher points, choose the students. Okay. Yeah, this can work if when we choose the student and they know the answer, that would be great. But if we ask questions to weak students, or the question is too difficult, and then we ask one of the students who doesn't know the answer, they would feel threatened. They feel, oh, what's the answer? They will be panicked. So we use this strategy for fairly easy question, like everybody can answer this question. Okay. And then in strategy 3, okay, in here in C, okay, the students point out this to one student first by saying his or her name, and then by doing so, like for example, Hamdia. So the students is waiting what questions that the teacher will ask. Yeah. So if the student is confident, well, no problem. But if the student is like weak student, he would feel like nervous or maybe confused. Okay, or switched off. Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of like that. So so it's better to ask fairly simple question like that, but it can be applied also in the classroom, this kind of method or strategy. Okay, and then in strategy D, the teacher asks questions and then waiting for the students to raise their hand and to answer question. What's made of? And then students raise their hands, and then the teacher point or pick one student. Yes, Samia, it's made of wood. Yeah, the students are volunteering to answer the question. Okay. However, yeah, if we keep doing this strategy, maybe only the best students will dominate the classroom, while the shy and the weak students tend to be, they felt like to be excluded something. So which strategy is the best? Okay, I may conclude that there is no single best strategy. So the 4 of them are applicable in the classroom. But one thing that the teacher need to be aware is that the teachers have to be aware that different strategy, one strategy, if it works in one classroom, it may not work in the other classroom. So we try to be aware of that and be more flexible. One last thing, when we try to elicit some question from the students, we need to be aware, we need to get close with the students, we need to get to know the students' ability. So not by making them like feeling excluded or get down by our questions, Instead, we try to encourage and motivate them in the best way we can, and try to make them think harder and be more confident in trying to speak English fluently. Just encourage the students and be a good teacher for the students. Okay. So thank you. That's all the presentation. So hopefully it can be applied in our classroom for stimulating the students' thinking skills and the students' speaking skills. And also we try to improve ourselves to be a good teacher. Just be a good teacher every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Sandi.
Thank
You are
you very
very
much,
welcome. You are very welcome.
Mas
Thank you.
Andi. And Ibu Bapak, we still have one more session, that is question and answer questions. We will spend around 10 to 15 minutes. And here from the chat room, I saw a question from Ibu Handrianita, Pak Sandi. The question
Yes.
is, can we use cue cards for giving examples?
Okay.
Cue cards.
All right.
How about that?
Yes. Well, we can use, as I have mentioned before, that wait, let me go back to the slide. Yeah. So to stimulate the students, we can use many kinds of stimulus, like for example, a picture, a drawing, realia, and a cue card if it's possible. Yes, we can use them, as long as the way we ask the students not, like straightforward, or try to give them like a fairly easy question for higher classes. Yeah, so we can give cue cards or like for prompts or pictures or words, and we try to create questions from that cue cards and try to make them think, or to make them speak, to make them produce, or speak up in what they have in their mind. So we can use many kinds of tools or stimulus for the students. Yes, hopefully that answered the question.
Okay. How about the answer, Ibu Handrianita? Are you still in the room? Yes, Ibu Handri, are you there? Okay, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that will answer the questions. And now we have Mr. Navy Nalalugina. correct me if I mispronounce your name, Bapak, Mr. Navi. Yes, please
Yes,
unmute.
Pak
Yeah.
Nafi.
Okay. Thank you very much for the
Okay.
opportunity, Ibu. Yes, just
Yeah.
correctly pronounce my name. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Pak Sandi. It's nice
Hello.
to meet you. And it's indeed a great strategy to start the lesson, because elicitation is not only to get the students' attention, but also to make them speak, whatever their level of mastery. I hope you agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
However, based on my experience, practicing elicitation, elicitation, please correct me if I'm wrong, Pak. It only effective working when the class has small number of students, so we can get answer from each of the person, maybe like 2 or 3 students or 4 students. But in my experience, because I teach at school with a big number of students, around 32 or 33 students, it's impossible to get one answer from one student. So what I do in my class is I group them. Well, I use the strategies like you shown just now, using pictures, realia, and so on. But when I show a picture, for example, and I group them, and then I let them discuss, and in maybe for several minutes, or 1 or 3 or 5 minutes, the longest one, and then I ask one of the group members to be the speakers, to say their opinion of the picture or to answer. Do you think it's what do you call it, effective enough, or maybe does the answer from 1 or 2 students from each group, if effectively or enough represent the others? Because probably you know, in the class the level of mastery of students are different. Some probably are excellent, the others are so-so, and the rest may be low. So do you think this the answer from 1 or 2 students from each group enough to represent their ideas? I think that's all, Pak. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pak Navi. Well, yes, I also have experienced like that as well in the classroom, in the large classroom. Well, I try to put the students in one group, in which in that group consists of strong and medium and then weak students. The idea or the purpose is to encourage and motivate the weaker students to get involved in the group. Meanwhile, at the same time, I also encourage the best student or the strong student to help their peers. Okay, so and then after they have some discussion, and then they try to report the findings by pointing out 1 or 2 speakers in the group. Well, as long as we can accommodate the group well, I mean, like if we want to focus on encouraging the weak students to speak up, maybe we can choose the weak students to speak up, and also get helped by the strong students. Here we have peer communication, we have peer collaboration. So we as teachers still need to appreciate the effort for everyone in the classroom. We give fair chances for the weaker students and also the stronger students, fair students. It fair, what I'm talking about fair is not like, for example, for 2 chances for weaker students, 2 chances for stronger students. Fair, it means like we give more attention to the weaker students by not forgetting the best students. We appreciate them, we encourage them to help their friends, and also by appreciating, by accommodating everyone in the classroom or in the group. So yeah, if we want to focus on the weaker students, I think we give a chance to them to present or to report the findings in their group work. Okay. Yes. Maybe that's what. Yeah, I also have experience in that too, Pak Nafi, and yeah, it needs our awareness actually. Yes. Thank you. I hope that answered the question.
Okay, how about the answers, Panafi?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Sandy. Can I have one more question, Ibu?
Yes, please. We haven't
Okay.
got any questions.
Thank you very much. But this is my last questions. How to make what do you call it, the elicitation? How to do it without the impression of threatening? Because maybe probably some students think that when she or he is asked by the teacher, and then maybe he has or she has a what do you call it, limited vocabulary, and then she will or they will not answer the question. So how to make the impression not threaten the students?
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I have also experienced in this kind of situation too. I experienced this with my younger students. He's so shy. He was so shy in the classroom, and well, had lack of vocabularies. And then when I tried to ask him a question, and then he tend to back off and look confused, and yeah, some kind of that. Okay, well, based on the experience, we can see their gestures, and also just like the presentation of Ibu Kori earlier in the plenary session about the immediacy, how the gestures, the way we ask question, this determines how the students would react to us. If there is one situation in which the students doesn't want to answer because he's so shy, okay, it's okay, no problem. And after we give the students some time, after we ask question, and then we give the students some time to think and to answer, and then he or she doesn't want to answer the question because of lack of vocabulary or anything, it's okay. We just say, it's okay, no problem. And then we try to give the question to the other students, and there is an answer coming up from the other students, and then we try to encourage that students that we asked earlier to repeat what the answer is. If he or she still shy, maybe it's we give them more time. Yeah, and instead we have a talk with them. Yeah, just to make a personal approach with the students, to make them feel comfortable with us, and yeah, they will realize that we are not threatening. The question is not threatening. It's about a personality. It's a matter of personality between the students and the teacher. And yeah, again, yeah, it's like in the previous presentation, immediacy. Yeah, it's okay if they don't want to answer. Okay, just leave it. Instead, we appreciate. Okay, it's okay. Thank you, and we give the question to the other students. Yeah. Yes. Maybe that's that's all, Panafi.
Okay, Panafi. Will that be enough,
Yes.
Panafi?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's perfectly clear. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Bu Yayat.
Yeah.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. Bapak Ibu, unfortunately, we should end the meeting in a very short time. But if I may conclude in a very brief conclusion, that what we are dealing with, what Pak Sandi have delivered just now, is about a challenging skills, speaking skills, both for the students and the teachers. finding specific and appropriate technique and strategies is very important, and this will influence the result. If I'm not mistaken, hearing the presentation, I remember this very important stage in kurikulum Merdeka ya, pemberian pertanyaan pemantik ya Bapak Ibu ya. So hopefully that what we have heard just now from Pak Sandi will elaborate our understanding, will give more preparation for the students, that they will enjoy every activity, every classes that we have. So before we close the session, Pak Sandi and everybody, could you please open the camera? We need to have your pictures. We need to report this one. The session is recorded already, but
Yes.
ya Bapak Ibu, terima kasih. And Pak Sandi, would you please take the photo from everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Ibu. Okay, so siap ya? Hitungan ke 27 ya. Oke. Oke, masih ada menunggu. Ada yang belum on cam? Oke, no problem. Alright, Bapak Ibu, siap hitungan ke-13. 1, 2, 13. Oke, oh, hold on. Tunggu sebentar. Okay, let's do it one more time. Let's do it one more time. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
That's all for
you very
our session in breakout room today, everybody. Thank you for joining. Pak Sandi, thank you for
Thank you,
presenting.
Ibu Yayat.
Pak Ibu. Maybe we can see again in our next KK activities ya Bapak Ibu ya. So when I click this leave room, as the administrator said, then everybody will say goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Oh ya. Ya,
Yeah.
mohon maaf
see
tidak
you.
kejawab semua. See you.
Pak Sandi,
Iya,
can
Ibu.
we get the material, please?
Ya, boleh, Ibu, boleh.
Oh, langsung di chat. Oke.
Iya,
Ya.
ada di
Lalu
chat ya.
chat room ini. Oke,
Iya.
mangga. Saya tidak akan live. Saya tidak akan klik live room dulu ya, Pak ya. Mangga.
Iya, mangga silakan. Ya, untuk materialnya materi insya Allah boleh nanti saya share.
Oke.
Linknya atau apanya yang dikasih?
Boleh linknya nanti mungkin Ibu
Iya,
bisa ke
kelas
WhatsApp
atau
kelas kreatif. Ibu ada di
Oh,
kelas
iya.
Ibu Eni ada di kelas kreatif ya? Kelas kreatif atau di grup WA?
Oh iya.
Ya.
Oke.
Betulnya demikian ya.
Ya.
Baik. Bapak Ibu izin, ada yang mau saya pakai lagi ke Pak Sandi atau saya izin untuk klik live room-nya sebagai administrator? Boleh Bapak Ibu ya? Selamat beraktivitas kembali. Insya Allah kita
Mangga.
bertemu dalam kesempatan.
Oke, terima kasih.
Baik. Sama-sama, Bapak.
Nanti saya konfirmasi dulu kepada dan mengenai materi. Terima kasih. Untuk presensi, kayaknya tadi nggak ada ya dari plenary. Tidak ada nampaknya Pak presensinya. Oke. Oke. Baik, saya izin ya leave room. Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.